is never failing. Thank you.
Well, welcome everybody to our Thursday travels. This is our last one for the week, for the month, really, and we are going on holiday to nowhere in in the month of August. Anyway, for us, I'm not going anywhere. So anyway, welcome. And we look forward to our Thursday travels because it's always, as I say, the best guide there is to living in a city, simply because we have people who live there, so they really can tell us the insider view of what life is really like. And today we are going to visit Delhi. So we have Lena there, and we have Mercy from the chapter of the worldwide program, and we have Anjita, who is based in DC but whose hometown is Delhi. So as always, we have a cross section of people who can contribute. So as we talk about what life is like in Delhi, please, put your questions in the chat if you have any, or unmute yourself and just ask the panelists uh, your questions. And let's go ahead. This is a discussion about what life is like in Delhi. So with that, I will ask Lena to introduce her team and take us to Delhi. Lena.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lina. I have been in Delhi for 2 years now. First summer because of Corona. And on the team, we have Mercy, who is a bit newer than I am. And then we are expecting Gadir, who most of you know, to join us. I hope she can make it. She says her connection sometimes is not as good. And Beverly also join us. So if they do join us, they will contribute as needed.
Yeah, Lina, maybe you're not aware, but I received a very sad message from Beverly 2 days ago that her mother
she just sent
passed
me
away. So
she also informed me. She informed me, but a few minutes ago, she told me that she might be able to join. So I said, okay. Yeah, because I had also, I said, okay, we understand.
Of course.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, when she does join in, when she gets an opportunity, we'll give her a chance to talk about, the things that only a person who has been here 35 plus years, I think, would know about Delhi. So yeah.
And we have Margaret as well, who was in Delhi, she says, in 2003.
Okay. So yeah, so I'm here in Delhi with my husband and 4 children. Catherine, why are you doing? Yeah, ranging from I have a preteen.
I have
all the way
5
to
children, Lina. 5, okay?
So then why did you widen your eyes?
Because it's rare. More and more young women, your generation.
Well, yeah, it happened. So I'm going to be giving you a perspective from that point of view. First off, when I came to Delhi, I was like, wow, there is a ton of help. You can have a nanny for each child if you want, for those who have children. So that was a very big plus because we moved here from DC, and that was a big difference. So I'll start generally. Delhi is in India. India is in South Asia. It is a very big country, the seventh largest in the world. Compared to the US is, I think, 3 times bigger than India. But India has 1 billion more people compared to the US. So we are really, really many over here. You can see it on the streets, in the market, everywhere. There are so many people. And most of them seem to be young. I looked it up actually, and I found that the average age of an Indian. In the year 2020 is actually 29 years old. That's pretty young. So they have lots of very young people. So it's a young population. India borders several countries. We have Pakistan, China, Bhutan, Nepal, Myanmar, and Bangladesh. So many. But Delhi is right in the middle of the northern part of it. So we don't really feel that we are close to these places. Sometimes you'll hear there's, things going on between the border of India and China. But it's not really close in a sense that you can feel it's affecting anything that you're doing with your life. And then in the south, the land borders are Sri Lanka and the Maldives, which I've had a very great for vacation. It was one of the places that I had hoped to visit pre-COVID. When it comes to the weather, it has high variation between the summer and the winter. Delhi being up north, we experience extreme temperatures when it's this winter, and we experience extreme temperatures in the summer. So extremes of both, which was also a bit of a shocker for me, because even if we lived in DC for so many years, we never ever spent the summer there. We always left. But over here, the summer comes a little bit earlier. So even before you have a chance to leave for school to close and then you leave, or you're already experiencing the heat. But of course, there's ways around it. So the average temperature, I think, in May could be about 104 maybe or more. And then in the winter, it gets really cold. That is in January. And I think this year we had the coldest days in the last 6 years. It came down to about 28, I think, although here they do it in C, so I have to keep on converting. Yeah, but it gets really cold in the winter and gets really hot in the summer. So, and also so that I don't miss that, when it comes to the housing, if anybody were interested to come to Delhi, when you get looking for a house, not every house here is able to heat and cool. So you have to be specific about that fact. Otherwise, you'll get a house that can definitely cool down, but it will not heat. And I think the main reason is that the cold season is pretty short. So I guess they figure, why bother installing something that can heat up the house? Whereas the summer is way longer, and so you'd actually need to cool your house. So I've had colleagues, actually, there was a World Bank family that was in a home that couldn't heat up. You don't heat up. So you either have to use space heaters or, I don't know, something. And it gets really cold. Also, especially because they use, I think, concrete to build. It's not like the wooden houses. So they are colder. And also about the coldness, even if the temperature reads as, 36 or whatever, it can feel way colder because of the proximity to the Himalayas. The Himalayas are the range of mountains between, I think it's Nepal and China and India. So they share, the Himalayas goes all through those countries. And it is the ranges where we find the Mount Everest. So it's pretty cold. And so I think it's the winds blowing and bringing all the cold air to Delhi. So even the temperatures that you read may not necessarily be what you actually experience. What else?
So what is it like to find housing in Delhi?
Okay. So the housing, I know of several neighborhoods where all the expats live. And you find that almost everybody is in those places. I found it pretty, I don't know, the housing market seemed to be, or maybe that's what happens in every country, but it seems to be, what's the word? It's so expensive, in my view, to live, as an expert, especially the housing aspect of it. In those particular neighborhoods, the houses are great. Most of them are not single homes. It will be apartment blocks. But there are apartment blocks that I think are most of the time way bigger than a single home would be. So you don't even feel like you're living in an apartment block. They are very spacious. The lighting is great. They have the whole concept of using a lot of glass for the windows and the doors. So no, not the doors, the walls. There's a lot of, like, you can have glass all through and just have a few walls. And so the lighting is very good. So it gives a very nice feeling and takes away the whole I'm living in an apartment block thing. So you can either choose to live in Delhi or in a neighborhood next door. It's a nearby state, but you wouldn't know that it's another state of its own. It's called Gurgaon. I think it has changed name now to Gurugram. So, but we are still calling it the old name. But in Gurgaon, you have more of, say, a New York-like feel. High rises, flats that go up to, 21 floors, that sort of thing, but very nice, very swanky, very up to date. The only disadvantage with living in that place in Gurgaon is the distance to the main school that most of us go to. So we have, there's the American Embassy School, then there's a British school, the French, the German, but everybody I know goes to the American Embassy School, which is great. I cannot overemphasize how great that school is. And I think that many of the people who come and not leave find that the reason is the American Embassy School. So if you have young children, it is great. It is a one-stop shop for everything. The advantage is that you get everything in that one compound. All this after-school activities, you don't have to drive anybody anywhere. It's in there. It's the swimming, the all sorts of things you can imagine. If you want something, if you want it, it's in there. So it is located in Delhi. It is about, they have buses to Gurgaon, but it's about maybe an hour or so commute one way. And yeah, it's maybe 45 minutes to an hour. So it's not so bad, I would say, the distance. The only issue would be, and I don't know if it's a good time to talk about the one not so fun fact about Delhi, which is the air pollution. That is the one thing that everybody thinks about when you're thinking about moving to Delhi, the air pollution. So India and, some cities in India, including New Delhi, have some of the worst air in the world. We have ways to go around it. We run air purifiers in the home, air purifiers in the cars, air purifiers at school, and wear masks. So masks are not new to us, but it is seasonal. It happens only between the months. It's only bad between the months of end of October through January. That's when the numbers, so there's something called the air quality index. I don't know if some of you know about it. A good air quality index ranges between 0 to 50, right? That's when the air is good, you can go out, you can run, and so on. So in the bad days, in the bad air season, Delhi gets to 800, sometimes 999, sometimes beyond the scale where you cannot even measure it on the scale. But we are here. We're alive and well. So you find that, and then we basically live on air quality apps, the way you would obsess over the weather every day and say, okay, today what's the temperature? You need to know what the HOI is. And some of them are hourly, which is a good thing. So when it dips, then you can go for a run. So it gives you real time real-time data. When the numbers go down, depending on whatever range you'd like, you feel comfortable with, then you can quickly go run. If the numbers are not good, then you stay inside. And they also use the same apps at school. If the numbers are, we have a threshold. If it goes beyond, if it's more than 200, the kids cannot go outside for recess. And then, so yeah, we have ways of working around it. So why I brought it up was the issue of the commute to Gurgaon to get, you know, the very new, swanky, nice houses, is that the kids are in the buses for an hour, fine, their air purifiers, but, you know, you can't really tell how well the air is being cleaned. So they are subjected to that for the duration of the journey. And they try, really.
Sorry, I was going to ask you, is Gurgaon near the office? Is that why people stay there? So why do people go out besides the nice apartments?
Oh, well, because like I said, it's newer. It has a very new feeling. It's kind of a contemporary place to stay. Whereas in Delhi, you have, you know, the sort of oldish neighborhoods. Fine, there's a lot of construction going on. And you can get a really nice houses also in Delhi. But for some reason, some people, so you find that most of and also it houses a lot of the offices of those other companies, Samsung, you know, all those other companies are in Gurgaon. But the World Bank office is in Delhi. So you can either choose to stay in West End Colony or in Vasant Vihar or in Jobag or in Shantiniketan, Anand Niketan. They are quite close. For example, where we live, it takes us, if there's no traffic, I can be at school in 8 minutes, which is great. If there's traffic, maybe, you know, a little bit here and there. It's maybe 15 minutes, which is very good. About the traffic, I find that the traffic is okay. I know they say, oh, the traffic is bad in Delhi, but honestly, I don't see it. Maybe because I'm from Uganda, where it is 1,000 times worse. So I find this manageable. And so, yeah, or the only other thing is that in Delhi, there are traffic rules, but probably nobody knows about them or cares about them, so nobody follows them. So everybody has a driver because it's chaos on the road. Everybody goes whenever they want to go. That is also the other downside. But like I said, it's a thing here to have a driver, a cook, a nanny for all of the children if you want, a cleaner. Just hang around to make sure they manage deliveries. It is that easy to have as much help as you need in Delhi.
How do you manage all the help? Mercy and the others on the line. How do you manage this small staff? The driver, the cook, the nanny. What's the tip here if people want to do that when they move to India?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you so much. And hi, everyone. As Lina indicated, we my family is about one year, 8 months old in Delhi. So we relocated from Bangkok, Thailand. Yeah, so it was really interesting to move to India, and we really did not have a lot of problems because we had our relocation guide who took us around and were able to identify our accommodation and where to get what. So on the question of house helpers, yes, I think when you come here in Delhi, you really live to your comfort. So you can get a maid as many as you want because they are generally affordable. As Lina has indicated, the population is high here, so unemployment is also very high. So you can get good helpers who are able to speak very good English, so you can communicate very well. And yeah, and then they're also very helpful in terms of trying to help you where to get what. They are knowledgeable, and most of the time what happens is when staff is leaving, it's more of snowballing. So if somebody would ask, okay, I'm coming. Is there anybody else who has got some house helpers? So yeah, so we get very good house helpers, and the payment ranges from about $200 above, depending on the size of the family and yeah, how many children you have, and the nature of activities that the helpers are going to help you with.
I think
And
also
yeah, so,
okay.
yes, and you know, so like the house helper I have, I think she worked for so many international staff. As such, she's very good at preparing a variety of dishes. So Indian dishes she can, and other dishes as well for the family she worked with. So yeah, she very good, and makes life more comfortable. And I have time to do other things. It's just unfortunate now that because of COVID, we are not getting our house helpers since March. So everything has to be done by me and my, you know, my son and my husband. So really tough because no, it's just too much. That's when I appreciate those house helpers are really very important in our lives. You know.
Yeah.
So
I think the take-home message for this is for anybody considering coming to India now, to Delhi, find a house that also has quarters, so that your help can stay with you and not ever go home, or at least if they go home, then it's planned, and then you can, you know, I don't know, have some control over who they are meeting. So for many of us have fallen into masses category because we don't live with the helpers. And you can't have some of them come in and out of your house every day with all this COVID going on. So the message there is that if you plan on coming to India, just to be on a safe side, because we don't know when Corona is going to be a non-issue, have a house that also has quarters, maybe at the back or somewhere, where the help can stay with you. Beverly is here.
Okay,
and she's muted. She's muted.
I can add a few things now, or I can wait until you.
No, please go ahead. Since we have you now, because we don't know how long we'll have you for, so please go ahead.
When we moved to Africa from India, one of the things that puzzled us was that most of the housing we looked at didn't have staff quarters, and most of the staff didn't live in. And that was so different from India, because in India, most Indians have live-in staff, and the quarter comes with the house, and they stay and they want to. So that was different for us when we moved to Africa. And I don't have a driver. I drive myself. You can drive yourself, but you need to be a bit daredevil and drive a car that you don't care about too much. So, and, you know, I don't like to drive hanging around waiting for me, so I just do it. But I've been doing it for 35 years. So, but for those who don't know, I should just throw in that. So my husband is World Bank in Nigeria at the moment. We've lived in lots of different countries, but India is our home country. And I live in India because he's Indian. So I live with one foot in the expat world and one foot in the Indian world. And so I can sort of see a little bit of both perspectives. So that's all for now. Lena knows I've got some more to say later. I'll let you carry on and then chime in.
If you're able, do you think you'll be able to stay longer? I don't know how much time we have.
It depends on this. I don't have a good internet connection, so as long as
why don't you do it now when we have you, before something happens to the internet connection? So Beverly was going to tell us some of the things that you can do in India. You know, outdoor, indoor, whatever, to keep yourself busy.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so I sort of have been living in India, as I said, on and off for 35 years, coming and going, because it's our home leave station. At different stages, I've lived here for extended periods. I think about half of the 35 years I've lived in India. So over that time, I've seen a lot of expats coming and going. And what I see is that people come, I don't know, Lena, Mercy, how you'll respond to this, but they come and they're like, oh my God, I can't cope with this place. It's too much. It's too loud. It's too many people. It's too much traffic. It's too smelly. There's too much pollution. It's too noisy. It's too, right? And it takes about 6 months to a year. And then I hear the same people after 3 years, maybe 4 years, saying, I don't want to leave. I haven't hardly done anything. I haven't touched the surface of what there is to do, and I don't want to go. Would you agree? Do you identify with that?
Yeah, I was telling her that after coming to India, I felt like,
I lost you. But anyway, so I've just got a list of sort of just the things that I could think of that people enjoy in Delhi. And starting with culture, there's an amazing amount of culture. Dance, music, festivals, there's dance schools. You can learn Indian dance, Western dance. There are a lot of free cultural activities. There's the Habitat Center and the Indian International Center. They're just two that every day of the week you can go to something free, a music performance, a play, a lecture. They have film festivals, they have art exhibitions. Then there's the Alliance Française and the Max Muller Bhavan. So if you want European culture, you've got those. There's so many art galleries. There's big national, two big national art galleries, the traditional one, the modern one. There's art galleries everywhere. Just to give a bit of context, Delhi is massive. There are 22 million people in Delhi, but if you are with World Bank or you're a well-heeled Indian, your life is likely to be South Delhi. So all the places that Lena mentioned are in South Delhi, and the offices in South Delhi, the American school, the good schools are all in South Delhi. So that tends to be your world, and all the things I'm talking about are in South Delhi. You very rarely would go to the other parts of Delhi, which are very crowded, and unless you had a special reason to go. Handicrafts are absolutely gorgeous and plentiful, and there are special handicraft markets. Prices are really reasonable. So, you know, it's very hard to impress Indians with handicrafts from anywhere else, because they just don't understand how expensive they must be, because they're so plentiful and so gorgeous in India. If you're young and you want a live music club scene, that is there as well. And it's really lively. And my 3 kids all enjoy that scene. The drinking age is 25, but nobody would know it. It's not observed. Like most things in Delhi, like the traffic rules, Lena, right? Okay, and restaurants of all kinds from everywhere. I don't know how you find the African food, but there's a lot of other different kinds of food in Delhi. And if you want to venture out, there's just so many places to visit, but I'm just going to mention the Jaipur Literature Festival, which happens every year in January and gets all the major global authors, and is a big event that most Delhi people like to go to. If you're not working, and I think someone else will talk about working, but if you're not working, there are lots of groups for expats. Little traditional still in India, they're mostly for women, except for Delhi Network, which is for all expats, and it's worth joining because they tell you everything that's happening every week. They meet weekly, and it's a source of information for everything. And I still go after 35 years, because every time I come back to Delhi, there's something new. Something has changed. There's a new scene, a new business, new people, and it's really good fun. British, American clubs, there's a French club, there's the ANZA, Australia, New Zealand. Some of the embassies have clubs and restaurants, like the Ethiopian and the Italian, and the American club, which is open to World Bank staff. You can join. The only thing you can't be is Indian, as I understand, and I just double checked that. So, but it's got a pool, it's got a restaurant, bowling alley, it's wonderful.
Beverly, there's a message, there's a message in the chat that says, what group did Beverly mention? So could you say that again, please?
mentioned so many.
I
Delhi
think
Network.
the Delhi Network.
Delhi Network is the one-stop shop. Okay, it's every Tuesday morning at a nice hotel, and wonderful people who tell you whatever is going on in Delhi. Whether you've just come or you've been living there a long time, you'll know what's happening that week in Delhi. And if you choose to live in Gurgaon, as Lena said, the why you would, I don't know. There's one called Gurgaon Connection. There's a lot of traffic going to Gurgaon. It's only if you would live in Gurgaon if you want a fancy complex where, apartment complex where everything is in the complex. Otherwise, housing in Delhi is lovely. Anyway, how to meet Indians. I put this in because it's often very difficult in a expat situation to meet the local population. And there are some really good groups in Delhi where there's Indian women and expat women doing a lot of charity work, fundraising, and a lot of fun cultural activities together. Like you've got the UN Women's Association, which runs a charity kindergarten, and I'm a member. We've been running that for 50 years, that kindergarten. The Delhi Commonwealth Women's Association, the Global League of Women, and these all are doing different kinds of charity work and can link you up. Volunteer work is possible and plentiful. Now my connection's playing up, I think. Many NGOs welcome volunteers. I'm going to stop there because I think my connection is making a noise and I can answer questions in the chat.
Thank you, Beverly. Could we go on to working before I think we've realized now that schooling is absolutely marvelous. I know I've heard the reputation of the American Embassy School. So can we talk about how easy or difficult is it to work in Delhi?
So Gadir was going to talk about that, but then she's not here. What I know is that it is difficult to get a work visa in India, which is the case everywhere, I'm assuming. And I guess it's, beyond our level where we would be able to negotiate for that sort of thing. Is there anywhere we can negotiate and say, can you give us the same visa you give our spouses? I don't know. I'm just hoping. But yeah, it is. I know of a friend who tried, she's not a World Bank spouse, but she did try to get a work visa and it was extremely difficult. And I think that she said the maximum she could get was 6 months. But she was not also going to get that because of some condition or other. So what I've seen people do is some people do consultancy work, but they are not based in India. I don't know if that makes sense. They do the work, but they're not paid in India.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yes. That's the one thing that I've seen, or amongst a few, but I've not seen anybody be successful yet on getting a visa to be able to work in India, because I've also heard from several people saying, come on, this country has 1.3 billion people. Why would they give you a visa? They have more than enough workforce to pick from. So it's been a challenge. And like Beverly says, you do the voluntary work. The other option also would be, I have seen people start, for example, yoga classes or Zumba classes. If you're a coach, you can be a coach and do that in your basement, in your house, and sort of make your income that way. It's there for that. There's a lot because the expat community, especially if you go to the American Embassy School, it is so close knit and word moves very quickly from one person to the next. So if you do start a class, for example, or anything, it could be anything. I've seen some people do some counseling and sometimes also do a bit of, activities here and there at school. Just from that market, if I may call it that. So you're generally dealing with expats, per se, not necessarily Indians.
So you're saying basically it's hard to get a work permit, because when I was working, and visiting countries for global mobility support. One of the challenges in India at the time for visa was that you had to give up your diplomatic status, as a World Bank and not be a World Bank dependent and separate. And apparently, I don't know whether I guess that hasn't changed, and that's what makes it complicated. Because I know that many years ago, the Permits Foundation was working very hard on behalf of many multinational companies to change that, because India, with the tech and everything, a lot of expats were going. So it looks like it hasn't been successful. But
it hasn't.
What you say is that there is room for enterprise, small businesses, and basically for expats, the market is the international school.
Yes, right. Which is a very big market too. It is a very big market too. You can actually sustain yourself just from that market.
Yeah. Anjita,
so and then also,
sorry, go ahead.
I had something to say that has skipped my mind about the employment. What was I going to say? Was it the language? And also okay, I think it was wherever you're going to work, they've got to be able to help you get that visa. But no company wants to put that investment in. Nobody has the time investment to go and lobby for you to be able to get that visa. And also another person that I know of, if you are multilingual, then that is a very easy one, because you can teach French, for example. I know somebody who was actually teaching French. She had everything in order. At the time I had just come, I didn't ask her, I was still a bit confused and everything. I didn't ask her how she went about it, because she was a World Bank spouse. But then she was she was French actually. So, I mean, that is very different. That is something unique that you can bring to India.
Anjita, I was going to ask you as someone from Delhi, do you have any hot employment tips apart from the barriers with work permit?
There are a lot of jobs, I guess, available in India. I mean, if someone wants to work, I mean, it's very easy to get job. Because if you have some skill, as Lena said, like teaching different language, then you can do a lot of consultancy work. Can you hear me? I mean,
yes.
Yeah, so you can do a lot of consultancy work, like working with non-profit, because there are huge network of non-profit working in Delhi, working in different parts of India, like southern part, northern part. So, and you can take, in fact, consultancy project from probably UNDP or some other international organization. If you have, like, if your base office is in other country, I guess. I'm not aware of the visa situation, but if I talk about the work, spouses, they have lot of opportunity there. Because I have lived there. I mean, that's my home place, a hometown. So, but opportunity means you just cannot deny that there is no opportunity, because they actually kids, parents, they all look for support kind of thing. And if you have skill, you can teach swimming. If you have like other like Lena said, Zumba or other kind of skill, so that is a different category. But same time, you can do a lot of consultancy work with NGO or with multinational company, because in fact they look for person who has marketing skill, probably special kind digital skill or something. So I know many people, they come and they work there as expat also. But visa thing, I'm not very clear on that part, whether they're allowed to work or not. But they get opportunity to work. They work actually.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe one of the answers is to have a company based outside of India.
Yeah. Yes.
And you are the consultant, and they pay your company outside.
Yes.
Rather than
as long as
to go around the regulations. What I have here is a question from Jason asking, is anyone else here from IFC? If you are from IFC, please put yes in the chat box and give Jason your name. And here I have a comment from Beverly on running things from your house is generally done informally and off the record. It's very complicated to get permission, and some people do it for charity, including yoga classes. So I mean, I think, generally with careers, when it comes to countries, and many countries have immigration hurdles, you have to separate satisfaction from remuneration. You want to be paid and be satisfied, that could be rather challenging. But if you are happy to find satisfaction and learn new skills, as Beverly said, you can do it for charity, you can teach, you can do volunteer work, you can still be satisfied but not be paid. So I think that is a useful, helpful, and differentiation to make. And I have another question here in the chat. Work visa. If our daughter obtained a work visa to India, she was in Sweden at the time and applied by the embassy in Stockholm. 2 other Americans applied from Washington and their visa did not come through. So that is another.
And it appears that even for that one that got the visa, I think you have to already come with it. If you can do your groundwork, do whatever you're doing prior to getting into India, because once you get into India on a different visa, then you have to. That's a whole different ball game.
Yvonne, on what you were saying before, what you experienced when you came to look at India, the UN Women's Association has been working on this issue for, as long as I can remember, to try to get rules changed so that UN spouses in India can legally work. And it's been a long, frustrating journey, and I don't think there's any success.
I have a question, though.
I was in India 10 years ago, now that you mentioned, where we were having this conversation. So it's very interesting to hear from Lena that 10 years later is still the same.
I have a question, though. Gadia says that there's she did not update me yet, but they've been working still hard on the same. But my question is, back to you, the WBFN. What is the status of this at the headquarters? Is it beyond us? Is it that the bank would be asking for too much if they say, can you also give our spouses, our staff spouses, ability to be employed in the countries? Where are we at with this?
Okay, maybe I try to answer succinctly, because we could go for hours on that. First thing, it is definitely still and firm in our agenda. We are constantly, the president, the leadership, WBFN leadership, we are constantly pushing for the topic when we meet, for instance, quarterly, the vice president of HR. We use whatever opportunity we have meeting senior management to push for it. And our main argument is being heard a little bit more recently because of this global footprint strategy that the bank once again tried to put in place. And with the change in demographics and the third factor being the strategy at the bank to have a 50-50 gender equality among staff. We all know, with no offense to anyone, but we all know that usually for male accompanying spouse, the acceptance of career sacrifice, let's put it like that, is a bit harder. So this, all in all, has become our main argument. And this is why I can tell you that I know we have been heard. We are constantly proposing some solutions. Until now, 10 years after, as Yvonne mentioned, we are still in the same position in India. In some other planes, we were able to move on and move forward a little bit, but not that much. But first, we will never give up. Believe me, never. And I guess more and more, the senior management at the bank is understanding that, well, Houston, we have a problem because you cannot be consistent with your strategy, global footprint, gender equality, etc., if you don't do seriously address the issue. So small steps, baby steps maybe, but constantly pushing, constantly pushing. I'm sorry I have no better news for you today, but this is the very sincere situation where we are. But we will never give up. I promise you. Never.
You know, but looking at the chat box, Mercy says that the UN database for spouses, maybe somebody from the worldwide program or the Delhi office, probably country director to country director, country manager, can approach to join this database for opening. But you see, this is the problem, because I've worked on this. It cannot be a one-way street. If
Yeah, you know what?
if we want, we have to share, you know. And just one point that Catherine made, we will, of course, never stop pushing, and we have. But there is something very real called the establishment agreements. So unless the bank is willing to go back to base, which is negotiate, the establishment agreement is our terms of engagement as we move into a country. And unless they are willing to revisit that, and
yes,
they may.
let me just, can I just add on that one?
Sure.
Yes, so yeah, thank you very much. You are really trying to work hard to find something for us. Yeah, we are really waiting for that, because you know boredom is killing us. We have our papers, we cannot utilize them. You know, so if you can really do something for us, would get appreciated. As I'm saying now, I know of my friend whose husband is working with UNICEF, and currently what the situation is like, the UN has created a database for spouses, and then when there's an opening, it is circulated to any, and then if you have the right qualification, you pick it up, and then they're able to do consultancies and stuff. And then apart from that, they also have programs like computer trainings for the spouses, just to keep them busy and, you know, like empower them with computer skills. And then apart from that, they also organize language trainings. So they have identified some people who could teach Hindi. So yeah, they all benefit from all these programs that are being offered on their table. So if at least the bank can also look at, in the interim, can look at some activities that can keep us occupied, so that at least we also benefit from us being here.
Thank you.
I got the message.
And I have a question here in the chat, and it says, what about getting medical assistance? So if somebody can talk about getting the healthcare, quality of healthcare, what happens in an emergency, that might be helpful.
So, Beverly, would you like to talk about it, or I go ahead?
Okay, in general, but then specifically on what the World Bank people do. Okay. Delhi is a mecca it's a medical mecca. I mean, you may have heard of medical tourism. People come from all over because there is superb medical care, very, very good hospitals. And people actually come here to get their operations done because it's cheaper than elsewhere. And our World Bank insurance, Cigna, you can get, cash-free at most of these big hospitals. Lena, you want to pick up?
Okay, yeah. So, first of all, the bank will give you a whole list of specialists from whatever ailment, from the A to Z of it. including the list of hospitals. I have not visited, well, I've visited one, I think, but not fully as to be able to know how good it is. But I agree with Beverly. It is a medical mecca. Many people come here for medical services, especially as compared to going to either Europe or the US, because it's way cheaper. It's also way easier. Even the medication itself is cheaper. The doctors themselves will tell you, oh yeah, you find it very nice. So it's very nice over here. This I don't know how much in the US, the drugs that you have to go through insurance and pay co-pays and all that is way cheaper over here. So, and then they have the private clinics that you can see, because you'll get a list of specialists that you can either meet at the hospital or at their private clinics, which makes it convenient. I think it is not something to worry about. There's a few people who have had to leave because they say they are not confident about the services they could get here. For example, if they got COVID, but then COVID is unique. It's unique. We don't know much everywhere, so I don't think it's any better anywhere else. But if you can afford it in India, you can get very good healthcare. So basically, what you can pay places you where you sort of gives you where you can go. And if you can pay top dollar for it, you can get very, very good services. I wouldn't worry about it at all.
We have another question in the chat here, and says, what is the general safety like, particularly for women?
I've had and seen on the streets, when I first moved here, they have these little tuk-tuks. I don't know if you've heard about them. The little, it's like, how do I say? It's like a little car.
Auto rickshaws.
Auto rickshaws, yes. A little, yeah, that can take 2 people or 3, maybe, if you stuff them in the back and driven by some guy, and it's all open and you can fall out anytime. But anyway. So yeah, you find that on the back, you find this auto rickshaw is does not support violence against women or supports women or something like that. So messages like that can give you the impression that it's actually unsafe for women to be here, because why are we even talking about it? I've never seen anyone else talk about it anywhere else. But also from reading in the news, once in a while, you'll see things about, I think that it is safe for us because of the circles that we move in, right? It is the school's environment is safe. The colonies where we live are very safe. There's like 3 guards per house, so many gates, you don't just come in. So it is very safe. And usually if you're going out there, maybe also because I stand out as being different, clearly not from here. So maybe that also, so I've not experienced anything at all, anything. And that's why I say that it is safe. But I've not been, I don't know, I don't think that I have been exposed to the real, like, deep Indian environment where I'm by myself and anything can happen. I think that it is safe. It's very safe.
Jita, would you like to comment as an Indian woman?
Yeah, sure, Yoyan. See, nightlife, many people, like many girls or ladies, they go to club and they they go out. I mean, I cannot say that they don't go outside, but since there is huge gap in the huge diversity and huge gap in the level, like you have low income group, very low income group who drive rickshaw, hand rickshaw, and there is other group who comes in upper category, who doesn't bother about all this thing. So if a rickshaw wala see a girl like dress up in mini skirt or short skirt and going out, there are chances that in night he will just whistle, or he may taunt the girl. So there are high chances of this kind of behavior. But and of course, Delhi, if you see Delhi, there are like high chances of, having this compared to Mumbai and other state. Those states are much safer if I compare them with Delhi. So Delhi is, of course, if you go out in auto rickshaw, it's not safe in night after 8 or 9 o'clock. But if you are in your colony, as Lena said, or if you are in your apartment, because there is huge apartment all over Delhi, so there are guards, there are huge lot of facility which you can enjoy. But if you go on road in night after 9 or 10, it's not safe. There are chances that you will get all this sort of, you have to face all these sort of things, which is not good.
I would not disagree with you, but I drive around at night myself quite happily, have done for years. My daughter works as a DJ, drives herself home from gigs at night. So I think if you follow the sensible rules, maybe a woman going out at night, don't go alone. I put in the chat that my daughter is, she's a DJ and she works, she has, there's a collective of women, creative women that she works with, and they're working on the safety of women in nightlife. It's an issue, but there is growing awareness. And also I just put in the chat that traffic police are not allowed to stop women at night, which is quite nice if you want to jump a red light. They can't stop you.
Actually, it varies from area to area, because few area they are quite good, and they have very good light, night light, I say, street light. But there are many areas they have very poor light system, and they have more of this bad kind of people. So it varies from area to area. It depends which area are you staying, or which area do you live. So that varies. But I'm just talking on broad level. It's not related to expat. Expat, of course, they have, like, they stay in safe place, and they generally don't go in those kind of area. But there are few area who are like in very bad condition. So it's not applicable like everywhere.
Thank you. Well, we have comments coming from the chat. In the interest of time, I'll read them. And Anita says it supports what Anjita says. Depends on how you dress, and one has to cover up as much as possible, not to be provocative in dressing. There is one last question here. I think Beverly mentioned about the safety of her daughter and how it's okay. Then there is a question here. You do see on videos about violence inflicted on women, especially rape. Can you talk about it if possible, or is it being exaggerated? And one more comment. I lived in Delhi for 2 IFC. Last one ended in 2010. WBFN global groups weren't active yet, wouldn't have been helpful. How active is the WBFN in Delhi? And she says that there are terrific volunteer opportunities in India, and she worked and volunteered. And the rest is traffic police. And one more
Kailash.
recommendation: if you're going to Delhi, Greater Kailash is a posh colony. So that's a hot tip for somewhere to live if you are going. From the moon. And then one question: when moving from the US, how do you adapt electronic devices to 220 volts? So I think in the interest of time, we will answer the two questions related to moving to India, this one on the volts, and what does the WBFN chapter have to offer a newcomer today? I don't know that we would have time to discuss the rate question, if somebody can answer it in one line.
I think it all comes down to, I don't know, your age group and the kinds of things you do in Delhi. That would determine how safe what is or not safe. I don't, because probably I don't go out in the night by myself. So I have experienced zero threat whatsoever I feel so safe. I don't even think about what I'm dressed in at all. It all depends on what it is that you want to do in Delhi. If you want to go out in the, nightclubs and so on, then probably what Anjita is saying is true. But if you're just going to live a life like us, boring people, you are safe. About the
How active
voltage,
is the chapter? How
Okay.
active is chapter?
the chapter is pretty pre-COVID. For the first year that I was here, we were pretty active. We had a weekend away as a group. We went somewhere and spent a night, played games and so on. We have monthly coffees that happen, whether or not it's just 5 people or more, we still meet. We have a WhatsApp group. We have a Facebook page also, but we are more active on the WhatsApp group. You can ask anything. We have everybody's willing to give you advice. And then we have sometimes we have end of year parties or end of season parties, depending on if somebody can host it. So it's pretty active, and I think that it is very supportive also, because the minute you post a question, you get lots of answers. There's a lot of support. We know most of us, which I think is a good thing. Although not many have come today, COVID has turned everything upside down. So yeah. And the children also, over time, the children have gotten to know each other. So they're like, oh yeah, our World Bank friends. So they sort of have circles, These are our friends from the World Bank, and also because they got the same school, so it is one big network. You get to see and know everybody, almost every day, so you become so close. You can ask questions. For example, there'll be something, does anybody have Tylenol? And someone say, oh yeah, I don't have it, or whatever, or something unique that you're looking for, and somebody will quickly tell you about it. Or if somebody's leaving, they'll say, I'm leaving. We always have if a person is leaving, we always have a farewell, something for them. Sometimes if a person is coming, when I came, there was a welcoming something, a coffee at somebody's house, and usually it's in people's houses, so we rotate. So it's really nice.
Thank you. In the interest of time, there's one last question, and then I will ask Sarah, our President for Operations, to wrap up. We have run over time, but it's been a very exciting and interesting discussion, and lots of information and good tips. The question to the the 220 volts is being answered in the chat. So thank you, Anita, very much. One last question here from Saskia is, what about hygiene and food safety, particularly for younger kids? So that will be the last question, and then Sarah will wrap up.
So I don't know what you mean food safety, like how clean is the food? So here you have to clean your food very well. So first of all, we purify the water that we drink. You cannot drink water off the tap, which the kids found strange. You have to clean it. You don't just eat anything. You have to have filtered water. So most of the houses are fitted with, it's called RO systems, reverse osmosis, where you have a little tap next to your tap that gives off the clean water that you can drink and use to cook, while you can use the other water for whatever else. Then when it comes to food, there's plenty of food. Vegetables are very nice over here, but you have to clean them really well. And the good thing is that because most of the help that you get, when you land, there'll be people leaving and they'll tell you, oh, I've worked with so-and-so for so many years, please, she's looking for a job. So they know the kind of things we expect from them. They know how to clean these vegetables. So we use, sea salt and vinegar and so on to clean the vegetables before you can eat them. It's pretty, it's okay. I don't know of anybody that has gotten any poisoning from it. Probably we do a good job cleaning. But obviously you cannot just eat anything from anywhere. No street food, nothing that you don't know about. And we also have specific, not out of choice, but probably because we get comfortable with them. There are certain places we go to for coffee and so on. So you find that by default, you're always meeting there. And so the people get to kind of know what we expect, the level of hygiene. And you get to train your staff there so they know what it is you expect from them. Yeah, I know I had of Delhi belly before I got here, and thank goodness I've not had Delhi belly for the 2 years I've been here. So it's okay. It's not as bad. I'm told it comes off of eating you, that it's a way of introducing you to Delhi. You have to have Delhi belly. I think it's from when you eat street food, for example, that you're not used to, and then you get that total base.
Before Sarah wraps up, we have a very rich chat, and I would just like to read this for everyone. Is that the United Nations group is a wonderful group, United Nations Women's Association, and you can volunteer. And Beverly or Chetna is willing to connect you with them if you are moving to Delhi. And Beverly mentioned some districts: Vasan, Vihar, Shanti, Nikitan, West End, Jobha, Gold Links, very green neighborhoods with good updated housing, but very expensive. So no big supermarkets, but lots of small ones with imported items. And how expensive? The last question is a renovated 2-bed in VV with a garden. How expensive is a renovated 2-bedroom in VV, which I assume is one of the districts that Beverly mentioned? Yeah, Basan Vihar.
Basan Vihar.
Yeah, with a garden.
Beverly, would you like to
Any
respond?
real estate agents here?
I think about a lakh a month, about 100,000 rupees a month. What is that in dollars? Maybe $1,500 a month to $2,000 a month.
Maybe. But I think the key issue is I don't know if the person who asked that is worried about being cheated, or or just to have an idea what the price is. You'd still get, it would be the price that it is, if I can say it that way. It will be clear information, it will be honest, I hope. I think. So I can't really tell how much that would be, but housing is generally expensive in Delhi.
It depends on so many factors. You can't really answer it. It depends on how renovated it is. Is it a house that's been totally pulled down and rebuilt, or has it just been renovated like mine, which would probably not suit a World Bank family? Does it have a lot of space? Is it on a main road or an inside road? Is it on the top floor, which is very hot, or a lower floor? All these factors make a difference in the pricing. So it's really hard to generalize, but it's also hard to find a 2-bedroom. They tend to be 3, 4. I mean, in good housing, right? It's hard to find a 2-bed in good housing. Generally they are huge houses, like 3 or 4-story houses, which are divided into sort of one apartment per floor. And they generally would have 3 bedrooms as a minimum. That's my experience. I don't know what others think.
And they are huge. That I can tell you. They are huge. Oh yeah, one last tip. Because of the air pollution problem, like I said, we run air purifiers. So you have to be mindful of that. The bigger the house you get, the more it's going to cost you to clean that air. So it depends. You have to weigh it. If you have a very big house, you will need more air purifiers to clean the air to be comfortable in that space, because every room has got to have an air purifier. Many people I know have gotten huge houses. Maybe they were excited or whatever. They landed here and, oh my goodness, the house is so big. They like the big house. But then the electric bill is in the sky, because you're cleaning that air day and night. When the air is really bad outside, the machines are running at maximum, and sometimes it's not enough. and the bill is in the sky. I don't know why the electricity in this country is so expensive, but it is expensive. So be mindful of the space that you're getting. You will need to clean that space.
Yeah, Anita's just commented, and I would totally agree with her that not many Indians have air purifiers. Indians are just beginning to get them and tend to have them in the bedroom, but don't tend to have them on all day. It's very much an expat thing. I put up a comment about an inverter. I went to WBFN coffee morning, and the electricity went off and the generator came on. And I talked about inverters and nobody knew about them. These are battery backup, and they're non-polluting, and they save an awful lot of money. They charge when the electricity is on, and when the electricity goes off, they run things. But they don't run your air conditioners. So maybe that's why WBFN people don't want them, but they're very useful. Run your lights and your fans and your fridge with no pollution.
Well, that is the reason that you attend Thursday Travel, you see, is to get this kind of tip that you will never find in the guidebook. So Sarah, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much. Wow, what an amazing session. We can just go on and on learning so much. Delhi for me is one of the most fascinating places, having read and studied its history in depth. And I am still hopeful that one day I'll get the opportunity to visit, even though I am of Pakistani origin, but I am still hopeful. Thank you so much. A special thank to Lena, Mercy, Beverly, and Geeta for giving us such an in-depth perspective from an expat's point of view. It's been so informative, exciting, and helpful, and hopefully those looking to move can find it useful. Delhi seemed to be a considerably easy and stress-free city to live in with your family. The tips that you've provided have been most useful. There are many opportunities and people can tap their talent. I'm happy to hear that the World Bank chapter, WBFN chapter, is so active and it's useful with neighborhoods to live in, medical support, and other opportunities. We'd like to thank all our attendees for joining today and for the previous visits. It's been an incredible experience and journey of learning so much from our worldwide trips. Aren't we lucky to be able to visit all those amazing countries, fascinating places from the comfort of our home? And here I'd like to applaud Yvonne. You've been absolutely great. You've been our rock and immensely helpful and creative. You've found ways to facilitate our gatherings, our trips, and be so effective. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Be safe and mindful and have a wonderful rest of the summer. Thank you.
And we will make
See
a
you
little
back
pause
in September.
August.
Absolutely.
Right. We stop a little bit during August, and we will resume our virtual visit in September. We already scheduled Dakar. We are probably going to Ethiopia also. So
many more to come.
We'll keep you posted. Thank you very much, all of you, and thank you. Special thanks to Beverly, who was able to join today. Thank you.
Yes.
We are with you, Bev.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. That was fantastic. Oh, yeah.